All right, now let's get to this Erik Prince thing. It's disgusting, in a word. Reading from this article in the Wall Street Journal, the brand new reporting. In Kabul, private rescue efforts grow desperate as time to evacuate Afghans runs out. Defense contractor Erik Prince charges $6,500 a person. Other groups' planes leave Kabul empty. He's charging in what very well is the most desperate moment of people's lives, charging $6,500 per seat on his private chartered plane leaving Afghanistan. A disparate group of American veterans, military contractors, aid workers, and former spies is scrambling to get as many people out of Afghanistan as they can before President Biden shuts down the window for rescues in coming days. Even as tens of thousands of Afghans who helped the U.S. and a large number of Americans and other foreign citizens remain stranded, Mr. Biden is sticking by his plan to withdraw the remaining military forces from Kabul's U.S.-controlled airport by August 31st. Erik Prince, the American defense contractor, said he is offering people seats on a chartered plane out of Kabul for $6,500 per person. U.S. and NATO forces are sending special rescue teams into Taliban-controlled areas of the city to spirit their citizens into the airport, and countless fear. Afghans who thought the U.S. would protect them after having assisted the U.S.-led coalition forces in the past 2 decades are now realizing that they will most likely be left behind to face the Taliban wrath alone. So in the midst, again, of what is certainly the most desperate, miserable moment of people's lives, Erik Prince has found a way to profit from their misery. This billionaire, this elite, which brings me to the next clip from just the other day when he went on Tucker Carlson's nightly fireside racist chat on Fox News and had this to say, this pointed criticism of the war in Afghanistan.
Prince, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, Tucker.
Before I ask you what we should do, I just cannot resist asking you, why is it that for almost 20 years, not just under Biden, but under previous administrations, the State Department and the Pentagon felt a need to use American power for some kind of social experiment to rearrange the traditional society in Afghanistan? How is that in our national interest? Why would we do that?
It's the same collection of national security elites in Washington that have failed for that entire 20 years. They took what was a brilliant victory by special operations in the CIA in the first 6 months after 9/11 and turned it into a massive failed nation-building exercise. And it's largely been like a Star Trek cosplay convention where they just sit and talk to each other and delude themselves into thinking they're making progress. And it's been the same nonsense, and they refuse to think about any other ways to solve this problem. And they took Afghanistan was never really a country, and they ignored that and tried to make this central government nirvana based in Kabul, ignoring any kind of central or local governance based on whatever their social experiment is. And the U.S. military replicated itself. I mean, the U.S. military, the most expensive military in the world, replicated itself in Afghanistan with a lot of expensive capability. And we've been beaten by weapons that were designed in the 1940s, carried by largely illiterate goat herders.
Again, did you hear that? Elites, he maligns. Oh, it's the elites that did this. This, says the man who's worth at least $2 billion. This, says the man who's worth at least $2,000 million. This, says the man who's profiting from the exit from Afghanistan. This, says the man who violated weapons embargoes in Libya. This, says the man who was planning to build weapons and a private army in Ukraine. The hypocrisy and double standards and talking out of both sides of their mouths is rich with these people. The same guy who had the secret meeting in the Seychelles and lied to Congress about it. And again, the same guy who founded the bloodthirsty mercenary outfit Blackwater, responsible for the deaths of innocent Iraqis. This guy has criticisms of war while talking about the elite, the billionaire.